I, 25 female, am pregnant and due in a couple of days. My husband, 25, promised that he would be the one to drive me to the hospital and that he would be glued to the phone until birth. He works only 10 minutes from our home and his boss agreed to let him go when the birth happens. The problem is my mother-in-law. She and my husband have an unhealthily, in my opinion, strong bond, and she's overly involved in our relationship, which has caused many issues in the past. She requires his attention every day and she's suggested moving in with us ever since I became pregnant. She also has emergencies whenever we have anniversaries, important occasions like my birthday, etc. As the date approaches, I've become increasingly worried that his mother will have an emergency during birth and I will have trouble getting to the hospital or will be forced to be alone during. I voiced my concerns and it caused fights between me and them. I even suggested asking my best friend to drive me and keep me company as I'm scared of giving birth, but it was shot down with, "How can't you trust your own husband?" So I'm not proud of it, but I faked giving birth yesterday. I called my hubby at work and told him it started. He said he would be right there. After half an hour, I called him to ask where he was, and he didn't answer. After almost an hour, he called me to say he was at the hospital with his mom because, guess what, she was having a medical emergency. Apparently, he called her to tell her I was giving birth and she got a heart attack from excitement. He said he would have to miss my birth and actually asked me to call my friend to drive me and stay with me. I admit I was very angry and heartbroken, so I told him I wasn't actually giving birth and that it was a test that showed me how he would actually behave versus what he said he would do, and that it proved he would always care for his mother more than for his own wife, who's carrying his child. He was very angry and even blamed me for his mother's heart attack at that moment. His mom, of course, didn't have a heart attack but a false alarm. I felt very justified, but now that we talked, I feel guilty. He said he feels manipulated and gaslighted. Just because his mother lied about the emergency doesn't mean I should lie to him. He said marriage is built on trust, so I have to trust him instead of lying to him to prove a point. He even said that he didn't choose his mother over me but chose a bigger emergency and that he knew I could handle getting to the hospital. Still, his mother needed him more and that a heart attack is more serious. I pointed out she lied, but he said he couldn't have known that and that I was just as bad for lying. I feel like I'm going crazy. Am I the idiot? Edit, just because I don't want to be misunderstood, I did what I did because I'm terrified to give birth alone. My friend would have to ask for a day off in advance, so she'd have to know that she's needed before I actually get contractions. My mom died in childbirth and I don't want to be alone during the scariest moment of my life. Even if I am the idiot, I think this gave me the push I needed to get my ducks in a row, and my friend already asked for a couple of days off to be there when I needed it. I'm just so scared. Don't let some of the other people gaslight you. Not the idiot 100%. She knows perfectly well that a birth is coming up, so it shouldn't be the sort of surprise that causes a heart attack. And of course, she was wasting hospital resources with her melodrama. Your husband is an idiot too here for not having his priorities straight. The fact that you called what would happen exactly shows how necessary your trick was. Your husband's mom is clearly a narcissist, and she isn't acting appropriately at all. She made your major life event all about her. A grandma with appropriately regulated emotions would or should do one of two things when they find out their kid's partner has given birth. Get excited for a second and then hurriedly shoo the non-pregnant partner out the door to go see the birth, or excitedly ask to go with, hopefully with previous approval from the pregnant partner, aka you. Neither of those things is a heart attack. Just because evil mother-in-law is old, and heart attacks are more likely to happen in old age, doesn't excuse her from being a witch and obviously faking one. And I do mean obvious. Actually, I'd also recommend a follow-up trick if you want to expose how toxic he is. If you'd asked him to not contact his mother during labour, I wouldn't trust him not to do so behind your back. It might be worthwhile to swap the phone number, which I assume equals is saved under his mom's contact with that of your friend. He'd never know it wasn't his mom unless she talked back to him. That way, it's a win-win all the way around because your mother-in-law wouldn't get the opportunity to pull her shenanigans. She also wouldn't get a chance to surprise you at the hospital and stress you out. Your friend could let you know if he betrayed your trust by trying to call his mom. I inherited a house from my dad after his passing a few years ago. His house came with a guava tree in the yard. The tree has been there for a good portion of my teen years and is special to me. One day, my wife and I were thinking of ways to earn extra money and realized we could literally sell the fruit. We got the permit and started preparing guava in different ways. For reference, I sell the fruit whole, spliced and put into cups, candied, etc. We realised that while the branches weren't exactly hanging over our neighbour's lawn, sometimes guava would fall over and buck against the fence at the right angle and end up there. So my wife and I purchased a tree fruit net for the side of the tree that was closer to the neighbour's yard. Since then, I don't think any fruit has fallen to their yard, which is good. What led me here today is that last week, while my wife was out on the lawn, the neighbour's kid approached her and asked what happened to the fruits. My wife explained that we keep the fruits in the net to have more. The kid ran off and returned with their dad, who asked my wife the same thing. She explained again, and from what she said, the father looked like he took it personally. Asked if we thought he was stealing, and my wife explained no, we didn't think that. We just wanted to maximise the fruit that falls from our tree since we do use it for some profit. Today, the same neighbour knocked on the door and I answered. He asked if we could talk about the fruit tree situation. He said that he thinks it's selfish how my father would freely let the fruits fall wherever, but now that I'm here, I'm hoarding the fruit. I explained that the tree is my property, so whatever comes from the tree is also my property. I said he could buy guava from us if he wanted, but he looked more upset that I would even recommend that. I'm glad his kid liked the fruit, but now I'm making money off this, I can't just let that happen freely. He called me selfish again and said I could spare a few. I said again he could buy some from me if he wanted. I offered a box for $5. Now, every time we see him around, he doesn't smile at us, which I guess is expected, but now they let the dog poop on our lawn and he keeps telling his kid loudly that the neighbours killed the fruit fairy. Some of the neighbours are still cool with us, but it's like we made an enemy from him and I'm feeling slightly guilty for the kid. Edit, we started the net when we had a medical bill come up and needed work on paying it off. You are the idiot and it is petty. Are you so hard up you can't spare a few fruit? It would have been the neighbourly thing to offer him a box every year. It's $5 by your accounting. It's a measly $5 worth of bad feelings between neighbours and a kid's happy childhood memories of guavas from next door? Absolutely not. I don't get it. Do people just not care about having a good relationship with their neighbours? Yeah, capitalism has broken people's brains. Dude, is what you're doing legal? Yes. But is it selfish and unkind? Also yes. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. If I were you, I'd stop by their house and apologise and give them a box of fruit. Tell them that upon further examination you realise you hurt their feelings by your unneighbourly actions and let them know you will offer them a box every year going forward. I disagree. Opie's not the idiot. If it's a measly $5, why can't his neighbour just pay it? Why does OP need to give the box for free? And the way the neighbour handled the situation was completely immature. He's just mad he isn't getting it for free anymore, but that doesn't make OP an idiot for trying to make a profit with something that belongs to him. The neighbour can buy fruit anywhere. We, male 33, female 28, have been together for 3 years and engaged for 1 year. Before her, I dated Sarah, female 34. We're all acquaintances, and while we don't hang out with Sarah, we occasionally run into her. While my breakup with Sarah wasn't amicable, we're very cordial now. We don't talk, but my fiancée didn't keep it this way, did she? We were at a housewarming party and Sarah was there, which set my fiancée on edge. I noticed that but didn't say anything because she's an adult. Then I overheard her talking to Sarah and some other girls. My fiancé was laughing and telling Sarah, "OMG, you're so fat now." It made me sick. When Sarah left, I asked my fiancé what the heck. She laughed and said it was nothing. Sarah did look like she gained weight. She left to get more wine, and another friend told me that my fiancé had always bullied Sarah. I don't want to be married to a bully. I tried talking and discussing why it wasn't okay with my fiancé, but she was brushing it off, not seeing any problems. I broke up with her. She started crying and begging, but I said it was over. I don't want to be married to a bully. She called me the idiot and said that I chose Sarah over her, my fiancé. Now everyone's calling me idiot. The only reason I can think of for why she calls me the idiot is that my fiancé liked me way before we got together, even before I got together with Sarah. So maybe it was personal for her, given the new information that my fiancé never liked Sarah and I got together with her. Not the idiot. I get being jealous, but that never gives someone the right to bully and make someone feel so low. You barely interacted with Sarah and proposed to your fiancé. There's no reason to act this way when you chose her already. Even if you and Sarah do talk, there's no reason to body shame someone, especially in front of an audience. If this occasion was a one-off, maybe it could be explained by a moment of jealousy, but to be doing this constantly is just so shallow. Thank God you found this out before going through the wedding and marrying someone who could potentially do this to other people in your life. She's mad because you discovered her true colour, and she wants to blame everyone else. You and Sarah didn't deserve this behaviour, and I hope you're doing okay and that Sarah isn't too hurt by your ex-fiancé. It sounds like you dodged a bullet. You broke up with your fiancé because she made fun of your ex. Did everyone cheer when you broke up with her? Have fun in life, dude. You threw 3 years of work from both of you down the drain over something petty as heck. Good job. You are the idiot. If you only left her because she said rude stuff to your ex, she was just being insecure. Saying rude crap to a peer is not grounds to assume she will be verbally abusive to your theoretical children or you. My mom was married to another guy before she was married to my dad. Her first husband was her childhood best friend, her first and only love until he died. They started dating as teenagers, got married in their 20s, and were trying to have kids when he died. They were 28. My mom never loved anyone else again. She met and married my dad, but she never loved him. She married him because she was turned down as a single adoptive parent and because people in her life told her she should find a way to be happy again. I'm their only kid and she named me after her first husband. My dad didn't realize this for years. Her husband's name was James, like his legal name. It's the one most people used for him, but my mom called him Hunter, and guess what my name is? Hunter. She told Dad she just really loved the name and my dad liked it too, so he agreed. He only knew her first husband as James, so he never made the connection. I was 10 when my dad found out. He found some letters that he initially thought were meant for me, but realized they were to the first husband. They argued for about 2 weeks straight, and that's how I learned Mom's feelings toward Dad and why she married him. I would sit up and listen to them when I was meant to be sleeping because it weirded me out to learn I was named after her first husband. She always had him very present in our lives. We had loads of photos of him in the house, she would talk about him a lot, and it was pretty clear she was still super in love with him. I only realized last year, but she also switched her wedding ring from my dad out of her original wedding ring when my dad wasn't around. I remember her changing rings a lot when I was a younger kid, and when they divorced, she just always wore her original wedding ring. I want my name changed, and my dad does too, but Mom refuses to give her consent, which we need, and the judges insisted both parents have to consent. My relationship with Mom is not good anyway. I'm not the kid she wanted because I'm not James Hunter's kid. But she also refuses to let me go and just let me be Dad's kid. She'll sometimes try some performative parenting, but mostly it's sort of like we're roommates when I'm at her house instead of Dad's. I have to split my time every other week. The judge refused to let me make the decision. My mom's house has photos of her and James everywhere. It's like a shrine to him, to them, and 2 days ago she was crying to her former in-laws that we hate her and how awful my dad is to her. When the call ended, I told her she didn't get to act like the victim when she lied to Dad about my name and named me after her dead husband behind Dad's back, and when she wouldn't let me change my name. I'm not creeped out by the history behind my name. She called me a self-absorbed brat and told me I would never understand her grief. I told her I understood the loss was devastating for her, but she used us and never even loved us, and that was crappy. Am I the idiot? Oof, not the idiot. I'm so sorry you're dealing with this. It sounds like you do have sympathy for your mom and understand she's a person who has not dealt with her grief in healthy ways. But that doesn't excuse how she's treated you. Making you a part of her shrine to her dead husband is a horrible thing to put on a child. You don't say how old you are, but I'm guessing you're in your mid to late teens. Hang in there. You can change your name as soon as you turn 18. If you have a name you like, I would start using it and asking people who are not your mom to start using it too, so it's not such an abrupt switch, and you have a bit of a paper trail for your new name before you switch. She called me a self-absorbed brat. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is the definition of the pot calling the kettle black, or at least it should be. OMG, your mom needs a therapist like yesterday. I'm so sorry. Your mom needs help. She needs to work with a mental health professional to figure out how to move forward and stop centering her grief over her ex-husband over everything else in her life, because the amount of harm she's causing is brutal. Also, OP, you need to talk to your dad about this, if you want to at least. You sound old and mature enough to verbalize in the legal system that you need to be away from your mom. No judge in their right mind is going to force a kid who says that their home life with one parent is nearing emotional abuse, based on the fact that you said she doesn't even seem like a parent, to continue living with that parent. Change your name when you turn 18, let her wallow in grief, and don't look back. Be quick to get yourself into therapy when you think you need it. You're only your father's child now, not her ex-husband's.